Get back to the old America. That's got to be the Democrats' part of the bargain. Stop coming up with radically new and often terrible ideas, and then in the next breath insist there be no debate about any of it. That if you don't see it right away and go along, you're bad, stupid, and deplorable. As if you were saying, duh, 2 + 2 = 5. Isn't that obvious? Yeah, it's obvious you can't add. You can't just say shit. Math is racist, queers for Palestine, looting is cool, healthy at any weight. If the men's football team played the women's team, it would be a tie. You can't just say shit.
On the latest episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, the comedian criticized the left for clinging to what he called woke delusions at the expense of America's future, pointing out that the divide between left and right has never been deeper and continues to widen. Maher argued that it's time for the nation to finally live up to the idea of being the United States, but warned that this dream cannot survive if the left refuses to abandon its obsessive culture crusades. His remarks were blunt, unapologetic, and
Let's just go right to the granddaddy of bargains now. The left will seriously quash all their loony woke shit, and the right will stop the slide into autocracy. That's really the only card left to play.
I'll continue the clip in just a moment, but I have to admit I'm fully with Maher on this point. If the left genuinely wants unity, they need to let go of their obsession with wokeism once and for all. This isn't about silencing progressive voices, but about recognizing that such extreme ideology is tearing the country apart instead of bringing it together. Of course, the right isn't without fault. No side is completely innocent, but as Maher makes clear, much of the dysfunction stems directly from the left's unwillingness to compromise, and he's about to drive that point.
In America is conservatives think the liberals are insane, and they're not completely wrong. Now, I don't think most liberals are insane, but neither do they make it clear they disapprove of the ones who are, and their cowardice in not marginalizing their own crazies has been their downfall. I couldn't get Neil deGrasse Tyson, a genius scientist and preeminent scientific voice in the media, to agree that it was ridiculous for Scientific American and The Atlantic to be claiming that separating sports by sex doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. Actually, it makes perfect sense.
Maher doesn't hold back as he lays down the gauntlet, blasting the woke left as completely unhinged, delusional, and utterly detached from reality. What makes it worse, he argues, is that even the intellectuals who should know better, philosophers, cultural figures, have abandoned reason in favor of ideology, tossing out common sense and replacing it with dogmas that collapse under the slightest scrutiny. Their policies, arguments, and moral crusades leave you shaking your head in disbelief because nothing adds up. Nothing feels grounded, and yet they still twist logic into knots to defend the indefensible. Maher's point hits hard. When a movement trades reason for fantasy, the result isn't progress but chaos dressed up as virtue.
Left, and when conservatives see it, they say, I'm sorry, we're just not going to go along with reinventing society, often pointlessly, even if we have to cancel democracy to do it. That's what they're saying. They see gender as only a construct and sex is assigned at birth, and they say, we're not doing that. Transing kids by self-diagnosis with no age limit, no parental notification, and no acknowledgement of social contagion,
Maher drives the point further, asking how anyone can seriously claim gender is merely a social construct when biology, science, and plain observation make it clear that men and women have distinct features, traits, and natural differences. These realities aren't illusions, they're obvious facts staring us in the face, yet the woke left insists on silencing that conversation, treating truth itself as offensive, and it doesn't end there. Raise the concern that children, who aren't trusted to drive, vote, or buy alcohol, shouldn't be making permanent medical decisions that could scar or alter them for life. And suddenly you're branded the crazy one. It's backwards, reckless, and a glaring example of ideology hijacking reason. As Maher makes clear, ignoring biological truths and exploiting children under the guise of compassion isn't progressive, it's a dangerous
reason for anyone to come to America. Not doing it. Homelessness is a lifestyle. Natural immunity doesn't count anymore. Whiteness is toxic. Penises in women's prisons. Welcoming the Intifada. We're not doing it. And so, folks,
Maher doubles down with a blistering rundown of woke issues the left needs to drop, pointing out that none of them are hard fixes, and that letting go of these sacred cows could actually help solve the very problems they claim to care about. Take homelessness, for instance. Instead of romanticizing it as some kind of lifestyle choice or allowing sidewalks to turn into open-air encampments, why not address the root causes directly, get people off the streets, provide real housing, and offer the support they need to confront addiction, mental illness, or financial collapse, the factors that landed them there in the first place? That's how you move toward an actual solution. Leaving human beings to rot in tents isn't compassion. It's cruelty dressed up as tolerance. Worse still, it doesn't just devastate the people suffering, it drags down entire communities forced to live amid the decay.
Back to the old America. That's got to be the Democrats' part of the bargain. Stop coming up with radically new and often terrible ideas, and then in the next breath insist there be no debate about any of it. That if you don't see it right away and go along, you're bad, stupid, and deplorable. As if you were saying, duh, 2 + 2 = 5, isn't that obvious? Yeah, it's obvious you can't.
Takes direct aim at the woke mob, blasting them for constantly shoving their ideals down everyone else's throats and insisting on conformity at all costs. His point is straightforward. Not everyone is going to think, live, or believe the way they do, and that's okay, but the woke left refuses to accept disagreement, treating it as heresy. Meanwhile, the rest of society is more concerned with reality, families thriving, communities staying safe, and a culture that actually allows people to flourish. Not one obsessed with indulging every fleeting identity crisis or self-serving cause masquerading as activism. Forcing people to comply with absurd social experiments isn't progress. Maher argues it's authoritarianism in the costume of compassion, and if the left wants to be taken seriously again, they need to quit dictating how others should think, live, or speak, because true freedom is about choice, not woke police.
Say math is racist, queers for Palestine, looting is cool, healthy at any weight. If the men's football team played the women's team, it would be a tie. You can't just say.
Bill drives home a point that should be self-evident but, in his view, is lost on the woke left. You can't just invent your own facts and expect society to blindly comply. Facts aren't playthings to be twisted around an ideology, they're grounded in reality, science, and logic. Truth doesn't morph simply because it offends someone's feelings or disrupts a trendy narrative. Yet too often the left retreats into an echo chamber where fantasy is repeated until it masquerades as reality. Maher insists it's time to step outside that bubble and face the world as it is, not as they wish it to be, because only then can meaningful debates and real solutions take place. Progress, he warns, can't be built on delusion. Abandoning facts means abandoning reason itself, and with it, the very foundation of a functional, united society.
It's true, because you're not Harry Potter. Smug self-righteousness in the defense of some of the dumbest ideas to ever come down the pike is not a formula that's really working for you. Because here's one thing I can promise every liberal in this country. The Democrats can win every election from now until forever. And the people who now hold the reins of power will not give it and will not give it back if they think.
As much as I don't buy into the claim that conservatives would refuse to return power if liberals lost elections, I firmly believe putting liberals back in charge is a recipe for disaster. We've already seen how this story plays out. When the woke agenda takes over, chaos follows. Policies that look promising on paper collapse in reality. Virtue signaling replaces real solutions. And government becomes more obsessed with feelings than with facts. If Americans decide they want another round of that, fine, that's their choice, but let's not pretend we don't know the consequences. We already endured 8 years of woke governance, and the results were anything but inspiring. Inflation, division, cultural wars, and weakened institutions. That's the legacy. So sure, vote for woke leadership if you want, but don't be shocked
at a grand bargain between the two sides that hate each other so much. America used to do this all the time, make bargains, and I've suggested many myself, like, you stop saying fetuses are the same as babies, and we'll stop saying trans women are the same as biological women. You stop saying alternative facts, and we'll stop saying my truth. You stop saying thoughts and prayers and
Wait, let's pause here. One side of this debate is rooted in facts, while the other leans entirely on fantasy and wishful thinking. A fetus isn't some abstract concept, it's a living organism with a brain, organs, and undeniable potential for life. Ending that life isn't just a choice, it's the termination of a human existence, plain and simple. That's a far cry from grown men claiming to be women and competing in women's sports, which is about indulging identity delusion at the expense of biology and fairness. These two issues aren't even in the same ballpark. One is about protecting the most vulnerable form of human life, and the other is about distorting reality to serve ideology. So when Maher tries to lump them together as though they carry equal weight, he misses the mark. Not all debates belong in the same category, and this one makes that crystal clear.
no such thing as voter fraud, and we'll admit that getting a picture ID isn't really that fucking hard to do. Stuff like that.
That's true. Both the left and the right need to compromise if America is ever going to be great again. But those compromises can't be built on lies, delusions, or convenient political narratives. They have to rest on objective truth backed by facts, logic, and reality, because that's the only foundation strong enough to hold a nation together. If we settle for flimsy, feel-good fictions just to maintain the appearance of unity, we're only fooling ourselves. Falsehoods may keep the peace for a moment, but they're fragile, shallow, and destined to collapse under pressure. Real unity doesn't mean surrendering to fantasy. It means rallying around principles that endure science, reason, morality, and common sense. Without that, America won't move forward. It'll remain trapped in the same cycle of cultural conflict and division, shackled to ideas too weak to survive. Maher's message is blunt but necessary. America can't survive on delusion. The left must abandon woke fantasies. The right must face its own flaws. And both sides must meet on the common ground of facts and reality. Unity built on lies isn't unity at all, it's a ticking time bomb. If America truly wants to be united, it must rally around truth, not ideology. Anything less is national self-sabotage. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.